Okay, so part 3 of chapter 2. We're looking at Louise Nevelson's black sculpture. And again, this looks somewhat gray because of the light cast on it, but it's really a black piece. And this is kind of a weird example, but lighting on this isn't really what we're talking about as much as other things. But this does, the light in here does give you some negative shapes, which we're going to talk about. All right, so color is a big deal. This is your color wheel. If you haven't done it already, this is what it looks like, and this is what it better look like if you want a full grade. A lot of people do a blue that looks like this over here. This blue-violet is kind of erroneous, and I remember this from the last time I did these videos. This is really off. This blue-violet should be a lot more purpley, like in between. Yeah, I don't know why this is so weird. Okay, so this is our color wheel, and remember there's primary color, yellow, red, and blue, and everything else is made out of primary colors, okay? Green is a combination of yellow and blue. That gives you green. So when you get into tertiary colors, that's what it's called, the number 3 colors right here, then you're going to mix a 1 and a 2 equals 3. So what yellow-green is 2 parts yellow, 1 part green, if that makes sense. So there's 3 parts in yellow-green or blue-green, which is very green to me in this particular piece. So this isn't, the color on this isn't perfectly correct, but you get the idea. All right, so hue, value, intensity. Remember, intensity means stuff like, you know, really bright yellows or a lot of chroma. When you get into colors that have a lot of black in them, or even a lot of white, they lose their intensity, okay? So that's brightness or dullness of a hue. So if it has intensity, it should normally be bright. So if it's dull, you're going to say it's low intensity. It's not high intensity. Chroma and saturation, these are all pretty saturated colors with a lot of chroma, with a lot of color in them. Okay, so we're going to go back to here again, if you remember this. So hue is it's a pure color, the color's name. So if we go back to yellow right here, that's the hue. Does that make sense? So the value of it, the high intensity yellow is going to be this one. That is low intensity or no intensity, okay? And you notice how it loses a lot of its chroma and a lot of its color and its saturation when you add white or black to it, right? So this is where it's pure color. Otherwise, it's tinted or shaded, okay? So shading, again, is like adding black, and white is tinting it. Less chroma, less intensity. Okay, high intensity colors are seen in the spectrum. Neutral colors, low intensity colors such as cream, tan, beige. Grays also fall into that category. Saturated color, so we're looking at her dress. So this is some nice saturated blue color. Even the higher, you know, whiter areas, it's still a pretty saturated looking color. He doesn't really have any saturated color on him, and his jacket is mostly a neutral color. And maybe it's supposed to be a whitish color, but it's got a lot of shadows on it, and it looks kind of gray. And his stockings, actually, no, we know it's gray because his stockings are white, so that's nice and bright. Neutral colors, the tree trunk. These are also fairly neutral colors, but there's some green added into this, and there's some yellow added into that wheat, okay? We see our light source, we see the heavens here, how the light is hitting her here, or sort of frontal, that coming from this angle, if that makes sense, because we see where the shadows are on his calf right there, and then the shadow behind the tree. Local color. Now, don't get confused about this. This is a hard one. Local color, wheat is the color of wheat. Her dress actually was blue when she was sitting somewhere. When we get into Picasso, Matisse, you get into even Van Gogh, who's before those guys, they will take crazy colors and they'll give you like blue wheat and she's sitting there in a blue dress, and they'll paint her in a green or brown dress. Okay, so local color is the normally found, normally found color. I don't like the way this is worded. Sorry, what the colors actually would be. Okay, painters in the 20th century. This is not painted in the 20th century. This is painted in 1750. Painters in the 20th century and beyond do not necessarily use local color. All right, mixing colors. I'm not going to get too into this because we don't get into light that much, and this is more for theater. It's really not for painting and drawing. Subtractive. This is also, kind of helps you, but it's kind of confusing where additive color, it seems like, okay, we're adding paint, so we're adding color, but that is not how it works. This is for lighting, and then they'll put like gels over the light. They'll put a red gel and a green gel to get yellow or to get white with the blue. It's confusing. Don't worry about it. We're not going to use it. Subtractive color is our color wheel. So the more stuff we add, the murkier the colors get, if that makes sense. So we have our primaries here. We have our yellow and our blue and our red. Now we have our secondaries too. When we cross these two, we get a mixture of, and I know it says subtractive, but we get a mixture of yellow and we get a mixture of red. Same thing with green, same thing with violet. Now when you mix everything together, you get a brown. It just gets mucky, if that makes sense. Okay, we're going to stop there.